Everyone, so today we're going to work with a new concept called order of operations. It's really likely that you're familiar with this, but this is going to correlate with lesson 4.2, order of operations, and then for me this is page 32, but it might be a different page in your notebooks. Okay, so let's first go through what order of operations are. A quick way to just think about it is if you're given an equation, or actually it's an expression, the order in which you solve things, because you don't just solve from left to right. So you probably have heard the acronym PEMDAS before. And so this is the order of operations in an abbreviated form, and that's kind of how people memorize is they just memorize the phrase PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is what a lot of people remember it as, and then use that as kind of like a mnemonic tool to help them figure out, how they solve it. So the P is always done first, and that stands for parentheses. The E stands for exponents. The M stands for multiplication. The D stands for division. The A stands for addition. And the S stands for subtraction. Now, this isn't, although, well, like looks, this is the exact order that you do it in. There are some kind of caveats to this. So multiplication and division are done in the same step, and you just do them in the order that they appear, so from left to right. So it is not multiplication before division or vice versa, it's just in the order that they appear in your problem. And then the same thing is true for addition and subtraction. You just solve them from left to right. Okay, so let's do some examples, and we're just going to start pretty easy, and then they'll just get kind of progressively harder as we work through them. So first one, we're going to start really simple, 2 plus 1 times 2. So when you look at this, you probably think I do 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6. That's what you might be thinking the answer to this problem is. And if you put it in your calculator like that, that's what you get as your answer is 6. But order of operations tells us that we need to solve it differently. So there are no parentheses, so I don't need to worry about that step. There are no exponents, so I don't need to worry about that step. But there is multiplication, division, specifically multiplication. So I'm going to do that first. So when I solve order of operation problems, I like to not just do it in my head, but I like to do one step at a time and rewrite it as I do it. So I did the 1 times 2, so I showed that, and then I brought everything else back down. And now I have no more multiplication division. I can move on to this step, the addition subtraction step. 2 plus 2 is going to be 4. So I got a different answer when I used order of operations than when I just solved from left to right. And this here is the correct answer. Okay, let's do another one just like that. 6 minus 2 times 1. So again, I look through and I don't have, and I have. So I'm going to start there. 1 times 2 is 2. And now I'm just going to bring everything just straight down. So now I have 6 minus. So now I can move on to my next step, and I can subtract, and I also get 4 as my answer. Okay, let's do kind of another easy one. Let's do 9 times 10 plus 3. So this one here, the order is the way that it's written is the order in which we solve it, but just so we can use our correct steps. So don't have, have, and then I bring everything else down. 90 plus 3 is going to be 93. Okay, let's now do some that involve division. Let's do 3 plus 90 divided by 10. So here, I'm going to do my division first before my addition. That's what the order of operations tells me. 9 divided by 10 is 9. Now I'm going to bring this down. So I add my plus 3, and I get 12 as my final answer. Okay, let's do a hard one. So we're going to do 10 times 1 plus 2 times 60 over 10. Now, one thing that's really tricky about these is whenever you see something like this in the fraction form, I would kind of pretend that there's almost parentheses around it, because you have to do this before you multiply, and I know that that's very opposite from what this says up here, but it's almost like this is just an unsimplified fraction, so think of it more as if you're just simplifying a fraction as opposed to doing the operation. So pretend that there's parentheses around it. I guess you could kind of do this in whatever order you would like to, but we're going to start out for this one just by simplifying this fraction. So we'll get 10 times 1 plus 2 times. So here we have 60 divided by 10. So again, think about this more as an unsimplified fraction. 60 divided by 10 is 6. Okay, so again, whenever you see something like this, solve this part first. So now I can go through and I'm going to do my multiplication. So 10 times 1 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12. And I can add them together and I get 22 as my final answer. So hopefully this was helpful and you will be successful in completing your Khan Academy.